Oh, wait. Okay. Ready? Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Debt in general has increased tremendously over the years. It has been a steep incline that does not seem to slow anytime soon. Student loan debt plays a big part in this growing debt. If the U.S. would act toward reducing college tuition and student loan debt, then debt in general should decrease. The United States should reduce college tuition and student loan debt. My first point is that past college students are constantly stressing about how to pay their debt back, which can lead to a variety of mental health problems. Sabri Ben Achor says in How Debt May Take a Toll on Mental Health in the June 5th Marketplace that people who are currently paying student loans have a much higher score on the Marketplace Edison Research Economic Anxiety Index than those who do not have student loans. It is about 2/3 higher. These past students are now dealing with massive debt, and it is taking a toll on their mental health. They are becoming more anxious and stressed, which ultimately makes it harder for them to be happy and stay focused on doing their jobs correctly. Melanie Lockhart states in Mental Health Survey, 1 in 15 high student debt borrowers considered suicide. In the September 4th Student Loan Planner, that 1 in 12 Californians and 1 in 9 Floridians surveyed have considered suicide due to their student loan debt. This debt from student loans makes people feel like their only option to solve this problem is suicide. That they feel so swamped by their debt that they believe the only way to get away from it is to commit suicide. No one should feel that suicide is their only solution. It should never be an answer in general, but especially not over debt that could be avoided if the U.S. would act toward reducing it. This massive debt is driving people almost to their graves, which is not okay. My second point is that by reducing college tuition, higher income families will be helped as well as lower and moderate income families. The editorial board discusses in the Pete Buttigieg's college affordability plan is actually the most progressive. In the November 10th Washington Post, that Pete released Friday a plan to make 2-year and 4-year public colleges free for 80% of American students. Those hailing from families that earn $100,000 per year or less would see no tuition bills. Families earning between $100,000 and $150,000 per year would see their tuition costs lowered in the amounts proportional to their incomes. This plan is the most successful so far because it helps almost everyone. The lower and moderate income families now can afford to get the college degree that is required for many high-paying jobs. They will be able to live comfortably and reach their goals without worry of massive debt. The higher income families are also benefiting from this plan because they will not have to pay the full cost of tuition. They get a discounted price, which still helps them out in the long run. This plan is the beginning of a new view on how to fund public higher education. It has been the most progressive plan so far to arise in the U.S. Everyone seems to have a benefit with this plan, which in turn makes everyone happy because they are being helped one way or another. And who doesn't like to be happy? My third point is that students may choose a major they enjoy rather than choosing one that is more practical. Ellen Anderson writes in The Pros and Cons of Tuition-Free College in the February 5th College Raptor that current students are often guided toward practical majors that have a more lucrative post-graduation income. Students are influenced by their parents and paying loans back quickly, which causes the students to choose a major just because it pays well. This may cause the student to become burned out from that job, which leads to more unemployment. If college tuition and student loans were reduced, then students may choose a major they are very interested in and continue to pursue that career for the rest of their lives. In conclusion, the government should reduce college tuition and student loan debt. By reducing or even possibly eliminating the tuition and debt, students overall will live a happier, healthier, and successful life. Due to the increase of mental health issues caused by stress and the plan that makes college tuition fair for all, the United States should reduce college tuition and student loan debt. Oh, I see.
You would like 2 minutes?
Mm-hmm. I wrote the dollars. It's still recording.
Did you do the time?
Okay.
Can I start it for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, so,
never mind. Go ahead.
okay, so on your first point about, stress is causing stress from debt is causing mental illness. In that study about the suicide,
Mhm.
was it stated if there was any prior mental illness or any kind of prior diagnoses or anything from the students, or was it just?
They didn't say any other mental illnesses. It was just based off of the debt taking a toll on how they said that they considered it because of student loans.
Okay. Now, you said that the second point about the plan of
Mhm.
free college, where below a certain rate would be free, over would be decreased. Where's the extra money coming from to pay for this?
The mayor would, capital gains, would be taxed of the top 1% every year. So the top people of the 1% will be taxed more.
Okay. Now with that, are you saying all of that money will be from that? Nothing will be put on the college or anything else? Everything would come from that funding?
That's what the article stated.
Okay. So the lower cost are causing, for the majors, you're saying that the majors, people were picking because they were more likely to pay off their loans. With so many choices of schools, could you not find a school that was on the cheaper end with the same major
Mhm.
to not go into that debt and still be able to follow that path without having a free school?
Yes, you could.
And what is the definition of free? Would that consider room and board, meal plans, and all of that stuff that isn't just directly on tuition, or is it just the tuition of the schooling itself?
It didn't mention anything. It just kind of was a broad statement of tuition.
Okay, that's all I got.
We believe that the United States should not eliminate college debt. It would only cause more debt for the United States, causing colleges to run off money, and if the college is being funded by the government, then South Carolina would cost exponentially a large amount of money of over $374 million just because of the fact of causing college tuition. While college prices are rising and many students have large amounts of student debt after college, this should not be cause for us to make sure that everyone gets into college free. The first point I have is the sheer amount of money the U.S. government has made to spend, and it's caused to spend on what it would cause them to spend. According to Nate Johnson, college cost prices, some key facts from policymakers, the average college will spend over $14,000 per student across all 4 years. Just for the University of South Carolina alone, this would cost the U.S. government around $374 million. But what about the entire state? It would cost over $1.6 billion, which is, in comparison, a large sum of money. The government is already in massive debt, so doing this would only hurt the economy, creating fewer jobs. No jobs means no money, whether you have a degree or not. Creating this type of education would only create a worsened economy, making the government abandon the system fairly quickly. The output overall just isn't worth it. According to Joe Barsley, a popular free college, programs yield mixed results. From Hirschman report states that more than 3 years after high school graduation, the Milwaukee scholarship students aren't attending four-year colleges in great enough numbers to increase the students of a number of bachelor degrees. The numbers just aren't being shown, and the effect isn't great enough, thus showing that free college would be a waste if the students are paid for but do not go, or if they drop out of college. Secondly, the government is helping out students with tuition, and not just with FAFSA, according to Nate Johnson, college and cost-free prices, some key facts and policymakers, the government contributes roughly $5,900 per student per year out of tax dollars. This is an invisible scholarship that offsets some of the tuition before you even receive your packet. This isn't to help the individual though, as it helps schools keep tuition from more constant to halt the rapid growth of the tuition costs. Third, if I want to discuss if we were to eliminate college tuition, the professor's pay would take a large hit. The same thing that we are experiencing in lower level public schools, elementary, middle, and high school, would begin to start to happen in colleges. The smarter and better teachers would migrate to private schools because they would be funded off tuition for a more higher pay scale. Right now, an average private university pays its professors around $20,000, which is more than a public school. If you try to cut costs in any business, usually someone gets laid off as the fastest way to cut costs. The same thing can be said for college. The cost drops and the teachers leave. Not to mention the budget cuts on schools' programs would cause fewer and cheaper supplies and materials for classes. How can you expect it to learn, to work in your field of degree if you cannot properly be taught inside the school's programs or internships? It would also cause them to have to cut out certain degrees and such as well because they are not able to have the money in order to fund these degrees. My fourth and final point is that making college free would negate the actual point of having a college degree. It would be the same as having a high school diploma. It would only make a public education longer and not actually level the playing field. By creating this free schooling, people will just get a master's degree, creating a level of equality and not equity. And it would act as a current college degree. This won't actually save money for people at all, as it will do is lessen the importance of a 4-year diploma. Where does this line stop? If we, the people, free 4-year college degrees, how long until they ask for the master's degree? The importance of college degrees because it shows how much effort you're willing to put into it. You have to work to get the money for college, and if you do that, then you deserve the time of day. What about the No Child Left Behind law? Will this not translate into college too? It's a government-funded school. It says some laws can get into it, that if you work hard, then you will be able to get your college degree, but if you just choose to slack off and just go ahead, then you would just be passed on as well and get the degree regardless. Whereas if you pay and you have the motivation to go as well, then you will be able to move on quickly in your life. So in my conclusion, I say that we should not eliminate college tuition. We should still have it, although regardless, maybe it should be lower to learn how to deal with it better, but in all, we should not eliminate it completely.
I don't have any questions. Wait, how much time do you get?
3 minutes the first
3
time.
minutes and then 2 minutes.
Max 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to restate what my partner said, that our first point was that in having the tuition for colleges and the student loans increases anxiety rates in students and other mental health problems like depression and so forth, and kids will be more worried about saving up for the debt rather than focusing on the schoolwork. Our second point was that higher and lower income families would be helped with savings. All families will save money and can put money towards higher priorities like feeding the kids, getting the clothes they need, and shelter. Our third point was that students can pursue a career they enjoy rather than a cheaper major, such as following in the medical field or law school that requires further studies after regular college. And lastly, it's hard for kids to have a job to save up for those student loans while trying to get schoolwork done too, because if kids are at college during the day, then they'll have to work in the evening and they won't have time to do schoolwork and study, and their mental health would go downhill if they are staying up all night doing studies.
Okay, so you were saying that the money, or their statement says that the money would go to a higher priority in the family. But most students in schools have, a lot of times they'll have a parent, family backing them up to pay and kind of offset some of those. And as well as those more higher needing kids, will be allowed for work studies through FAFSA. They have multiple opportunities through the school to be able to work while on campus and still be able to study in those jobs. And on the point of the free college would allow further schooling for doctors and jobs like that, while it would allow that, but where's that truly going to come from? Because if your degree is not looked at the same because it's free, then you would still have to go to that further schooling and you're still having to pay for that schooling. And also back to the mental health part of you can't work and study without feeling overwhelmed and overworked. That's what the summer's for, you work over the summer, you'd save up money. So there's multiple ways around these major issues that are being brought up. It's not a fact that these are the issues, it's more of a fact that the issues aren't being addressed early enough and the students aren't taking the precautions to be able to offset some of those. And also back to paying for the free college itself. If the top 1% are the ones being taxed, and we're not paying for room and board and meal plans or anything, then so you're still having to pay at least $10,000 a year at most colleges for between room and board and a meal plan. So you're taxing the top 1% and it's still not even covering all of this. So where would the money come from to cover the rest of the school? And also, is it really free if we're taxing the top 1% and other things just to pay for the college? Then the college itself isn't free, it's just not being funded by the students itself.
Are you still recording it?
Yeah.
Okay. So our opponent stated that it costs too much for the colleges if all tuition was free, but they can bring in money from other fundings and other ways in the country that money is not needed as much. And they stated that the government is already helping students a lot, but even though they said it was $5,900 for every student, most colleges cost like $20,000 in the end, which not every student has and can't get to that. Even with the scholarships and jobs, it's hard to save up to get that much. They also said that professors take a large hit and they would go to private schools instead of staying at those free colleges. But with them being at the private schools, they would get money, but if college was cheaper for the students, then they would be able to study more. They also said that it takes away the point of a degree and there would be no challenges and would act like high school. But it doesn't necessarily take away the point of a degree because more students will be able to get educated and get to those higher jobs that take more money and are better for the kids who can only pay that much. And part-time jobs don't offer as much money and summer isn't long enough to save up the money to be comfy in college or to pay off those debts that you get during college, so students wouldn't be able to get the degree they want or become who they wish to be. And that is it.